One choice. That's all it takes to change everything. Sophia James had 17 minutes to save her future. 17 minutes to reach the job interview that would determine whether she could feed her daughter next month. Whether the eviction notice taped to her door would become reality. Whether all the rejection, all the struggle, all the sleepless nights would finally mean something. But standing between her and that future was a crying child. A stranger's child. And Sophia James had to choose. This is a story about what happens when doing the right thing costs you everything you can't afford to lose. About the moment character becomes more valuable than credentials. And about the interview that changed the rules. But first, you need to understand just how desperate Sophia James really was. Before we continue, leave in the comment which country you are watching from. And at the end, don't forget to like the story and subscribe to this channel. 6 months. That's how long Sophia had been out of work. 6 months of rejection letters and dwindling savings. 6 months of her 7-year-old daughter asking questions Sophia couldn't answer. When can we get new shoes, Mommy? Why do we eat pasta every night? Are we going to have to move again? Sophia was a medical records coordinator, organized, detail-oriented, reliable. But in a tight job market, those qualities were common. And she was competing against people without gaps in their resumes, without the baggage of single motherhood, without the desperation that potential employers could smell from across a desk. But today was different. Today, Sophia had one final chance. Sun City Hospital, medical records supervisor. It was perfect for her, her exact experience, her skill set, her neighborhood. She'd applied 4 times over 2 years. This was the first time they'd called. The recruiter's voice had been clear. We have several strong candidates. Punctuality and professionalism are non-negotiable. Translation, don't screw this up. It was 7:15 a.m. The interview was at 10. Plenty of time. Except Sophia had learned the hard way that when you're desperate, the universe isn't done testing you yet. Murphy's Law. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Sophia watched that bus disappear like it was taking her future with it. 20 resumes printed at the library at 10 cents each because she couldn't afford a printer scattered like her chances. Some trampled, some lost forever. But she still had 3 clean copies. And the next bus came in 15 minutes. She could still make it. The interview was at 10. The hospital was a 20-minute bus ride, then a 5-minute walk. If she caught the 9:05 bus, she'd arrive at 9:35, 25 minutes early. Perfect. Sophia James was not going to let bad luck beat her. Not today. For 8 beautiful minutes, Sophia let herself believe. She ran through her talking points. I have 5 years of experience in medical records management. I'm proficient in Epic and Cerner systems. I understand HIPAA compliance, inside and out. She thought about Lily, about what this job would mean. A steady paycheck, health insurance, stability. Maybe even enough for a small birthday party next month. Nothing fancy, just cake and a few of Lily's friends. Simple dreams, the kind you take for granted until you can't afford them anymore. The bus turned onto Market Street. 3 more stops. Sophia checked her reflection in the window, smoothed her hair, practiced her smile one more time. And that's when everything fell apart again. This is the moment, the one you'll remember. Because Sophia James stood there for exactly 4 seconds, and in those 4 seconds, she had a very human thought. She thought, someone else will help her. Someone without an interview in 28 minutes. Someone who can afford to be late. I can't. I have a daughter too. I have to save myself first. It was practical, reasonable, self-preserving, and it lasted exactly 4 seconds. Because Sophia James looked at that little girl and saw Lily, and she couldn't walk away. Sophia's heart was racing, not from the search, from the math. Every minute she spent looking was a minute closer to losing everything. By 9:35, she'd be cutting it close. By 9:40, she'd be racing through the hospital doors. By 9:45, she'd be late. And late meant disqualified. Late meant another month of rejections. Late meant facing Lily tonight with nothing but apologies. But Emma was 5 years old and terrified, and Sophia wouldn't abandon her to find her father alone. So she made a choice that would cost her everything she couldn't afford to lose. Samuel Jackson had been searching for 8 minutes. 8 minutes that felt like 8 hours. He'd left Emma by the window of the medical supply store for 30 seconds, just 30 seconds to grab a prescription, and she'd wandered outside. In those 8 minutes, he'd imagined every parent's worst nightmare. And then this stranger, this woman with kind eyes and a folder clutched to her chest, brought his daughter back to him, safe, calm, unharmed. He didn't know her name. He didn't know that she'd just sacrificed everything for this moment. He just knew he owed her a debt he could never repay. It was over. The interview started in 11 minutes. Even if she ran and she couldn't run in heels with a folder and her dignity, she'd be at least 10 minutes late, probably 15. The recruiter had been explicit. Several strong candidates. Punctuality non-negotiable. There was no explaining this away. No, making it right. Sophia had made her choice, and now she had to live with it. Fate is strange. Or maybe it's grace. Or maybe it's just coincidence wearing a disguise. But sitting in that lobby, Sophia James felt something she hadn't felt in months. Hope. Not because she thought she'd get the job. She was still late, still disheveled, still completely unprepared. But because for the first time in 6 months of rejection and desperation, she'd done something that felt right. She'd helped a child find her father. She'd chosen compassion over self-interest. And even if it cost her everything, she could look Lily in the eye tonight and say she'd been the kind of person worth looking up to. Sometimes, that has to be enough. Of all the hospitals in the city, of all the interviews in her desperate search, of all the moments for the universe to reveal its hand, Sophia James was standing face to face with the father she'd just saved. And Samuel Jackson was standing face to face with the woman who'd sacrificed her future for his daughter. Neither of them spoke. Because what do you say when fate arranges this kind of moment? When the person who showed you mercy turns out to be asking for yours? When the interview becomes something else entirely? And just like that, the interview began. But it wasn't the interview Sophia had prepared for. She didn't recite her talking points about Epic systems and HIPAA compliance. She didn't list her credentials and references. Instead, she told the truth. She told Samuel about Lily, about 6 months of rejection, about the eviction notice and the dwindling savings and the pasta dinners, about waking up at 6:30 every morning to practice interview smiles in the mirror, about the bus and the scattered resumes and the choice she made on that sidewalk. She told him everything, because at this point, she had nothing left to lose. Samuel Jackson was an excellent interviewer. He'd conducted hundreds over his 15-year career. He knew how to read body language, detect rehearsed answers, spot desperation that would lead to burnout. But he'd never interviewed someone like Sophia James, because he wasn't reading a resume anymore. He was remembering the way she'd knelt down to Emma's level with patience and warmth, the way she'd stayed calm in a crisis, the way she'd walked away without asking for anything in return. He was remembering what really mattered. Sophia's hands were shaking, not from fear, from the possibility that this could actually happen, that the worst morning of her life could somehow become the best. But Samuel Jackson wasn't finished. It was the most honest answer Samuel Jackson had ever heard in an interview. No rehearsed corporate speak. No false humility. Just truth. And truth, he'd learned, was the rarest commodity of all. Sometimes, the universe has a strange sense of timing. Sometimes, losing everything leads you exactly where you need to be. And sometimes, just sometimes, doing the right thing costs you nothing at all. Because Sophia James didn't get that job despite being late. She got it because of what made her late. Because Samuel Jackson wasn't looking for the most punctual candidate. He was looking for someone with character. And character, as it turns out, is the one credential that really matters. 3 months later, Sophia James was thriving. She was excellent at her job, organized, efficient, compassionate. But more than that, she was proof of something Samuel Jackson had always believed. The best employees aren't the ones with perfect resumes. They're the ones who do the right thing when no one's watching. When it costs them everything. When it would be easier to walk away. Sophia's resumes are still scattered somewhere on Market Street, but she doesn't need them anymore. Because she has something better. A reputation built on character, not paper. And that, as it turns out, is the only credential worth having. Subscribe.